Hello, my name is Samar. I also go by Sam or First Time Planner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. Sorry about the stomping if you can hear that. Again, I live in the unit underneath a kid who likes to stomp around all the time. Not the kid's fault, that's the parents' fault, but nothing I can do about it, sorry. This will be my get ready with me kind of Q&A video, and this will be all about my interstate move that I did just a few weeks ago. I haven't even been here a full 2 weeks yet, so still pretty early, but I just wanted to like talk a little bit about the move and everything. I feel like some people did have questions. I originally didn't plan for this to be a Q&A, but I kind of just threw out like if anyone did have any questions you can ask, and I did get a few questions, so I'll be answering all those and then just filling you in on just some general stuff that has been on my mind about the move and like the town that I'm in now. So I'll get started, and I'm just using the makeup bag that I packed with me. I'll just show you. So everything that's in this Sephora cosmetics bag is what I packed with me just for like the first part of my move, so that I'd have everything. I mean, I usually keep everything that I'm using on the day-to-day in a little acrylic organizer, but I just brought this with me on the plane, and I was like, this is what I'll use for the first X amount of time while I'm still unpacking and everything. So other than I think one thing that I added in a project just yesterday, everything is what I brought with me from my last apartment in this little bag. So this is pretty much what I've been using on the day-to-day since I got here. First, I'll start with my eyes as always, and I'll be using my Space Chemistry palette along with, just for the mattes, because I have this snow pen left behind in my, since everything is pretty much in a project in here, I'll just mention which projects these products are in, if they are in one. I'm already losing my words. This is in my Old New Gifted Blue project pan, and this is a little Natasha Denona palette that's in my seasonal pan, that palette for this year. This is my like spring palette, so I'll just be using this for the mattes, and then I only have shimmers left to use in here, and I feel like I just have all of the warm tone shimmers left to use. So I think, except for one that I already used, so I only have like 4 shades. I feel like I could use them all in the same look, so that's what I'm gonna try to do in this video and just hit my goal on this product. And you know what, I'm just figuring out for the first time. I'm laughing because I feel so silly, and I'm like just discovering right now. Also, the pipes above me are going off, sorry. I got 2 questions from someone who's like been following me for a while and has asked me questions before, so I've definitely said your username incorrectly, sorry. Her username is at 0nada000, but I've been pronouncing it like Zeronada, like that's her name. Anyway, well, I'll kind of answer 2 questions at the same time. So 0nada000 asked, are you excited for your move and what degree did you earn? And then Alyssa from at Miss Alyssa JM asked, I'd love to hear where you are, why, and what you're most excited for the new place. I feel like I kind of have to answer those 2 questions at the same time, so thank you to both of you for asking those questions, and this will kind of be like probably the bulk of the video. I'll start with my Milani eyeshadow primer, and look how teeny tiny this is. It took me like 2.5 years to get through my last one, so I'm very pleased that I think I opened this tube up at the beginning of 2024, so I think I'll go through this an entire year faster than my last one, which shows that I definitely have been wearing makeup a lot more often than I used to, or at least like powder eyeshadows that require an eyeshadow primer instead of just like one and done stick shadows, which I do still like, but have actually gone a little bit neglected. So I guess there's a downside. Anyway, back to the questions. I am moving, or I did move, maybe like 10-11 days ago now, almost 2 weeks ago now, from Southern California to Northern Nevada, and I moved for work. From this palette, I'm just gonna take the, sorry that's bright, the 2 mattes, and do them how I usually do. You'll see. This was not an internal switch. I did start at a new company, which I know I just like kind of started a new job at the very end of last year, but I was still applying to jobs because even though I was like very grateful to have a job at the time, it just wasn't the perfect fit for me. And I decided like I'll apply to, because like Southern California, even though I do like Southern California, I lived there for most of my life, it is just an extremely difficult place to live. It is so expensive, and it actually pays a lot less than a lot of places outside of Southern California, which doesn't make sense because it's so much more expensive. And the job opportunities, because it's so densely populated, it's just very few and far between. So I knew if I was going to find, you know, a good job somewhat, even though like I have a background in a lot of different things, like somewhat in my field that paid at least decently, like enough for me to live on my own, I was probably gonna have to start applying outside of Southern California. So and I figured because I don't really have attachments, I'm not in a relationship, I don't have a house, yada yada yada, this would be like one of the only opportunities for me to make a big move if I ever was going to do that in my life. So I started applying outside of my area, and in February the company that I'm at now reached out to me, and over the span of like almost 2 months I was interviewing. I had to do like I think a total of 7 or so interviews before I got the job offer. And they were like, oh yeah, we want you to start as soon as possible. So I basically only had a 3-week notice from when I was offered the job to when they wanted me to start. So it was just an extremely hectic 3 weeks. Like I was constantly stressed, even though I was so excited. Like I wouldn't have taken the job if I didn't really want to do it. It was just an extremely stressful time because I had to plan the entire move myself. I still wanted to give my job a 2-week notice, so I was like working full-time still, so I really only had 1 full week to like pack and everything. But I also was like, oh, I want to get there a little bit early, like before I have to start my job, so that I can like unpack and get to know the area. So between my last day at work and me moving, I only had like 3.5 days. And I'm not gonna say the like exact company that I work for, but I am really glad to be here because I'm not doing like exact like apples to apples, but I used to before the last job I had. I was working at a battery lab, and I'm also now working in a battery lab, just doing a little bit of a different role. So instead of formulating the battery, I'm now like analyzing battery materials, so it's more like analytical work. That kind of ties into what did I study. So I was a general chemistry major, but I actually this is like gonna take me off onto a little tangent. I actually have never done like in a job anything that I studied. So I studied general chemistry, but I took all my electives in either organic chemistry or environmental chemistry. And batteries, that's just inorganic chemistry because it's all pretty much all metals. And carbon, but carbon is just carbon. So that is what I studied. I also did a fellowship with like biomedical research. So pretty much everything that I ever did in school was either organic or environmental or biochemical, and it was all like research based or like synthesis based. And I've never done any of that in industry, like where I'm working. So it's just kind of funny how life works out. And I've also done stuff that's completely unrelated to chemistry. But I do enjoy what I do. I've learned to really love it. Research is research no matter what. You kind of just get into the groove. If you have that like research focused mind, you kind of just become passionate about whatever you're looking into. So I am having fun so far. They're kind of hard to see on camera, but I have this shade, this green one here, and then this one right up here left to use, and I'm gonna try to use them all in one look. So I'm gonna start with the blue, which is called Ionic Bond, and I definitely put way too much on my finger, so I'm gonna use it for both eyes. But I just put my NYX glitter primer on. That's what I was just putting on my eyelids. So I just had my first full week in the lab, so I'm really enjoying it. Oh my god, I got way too high up because of my huge finger. I'm gonna have to try to fix that. But I don't know what I was doing. So this is why I cannot talk and do my makeup at the same time. Hopefully this is entertainment for you because I'm struggling here. But to answer your question, I still, even though it was a very hectic time, those 3 weeks between me like finding out I would be moving and then the actual move, I was still very excited because I had been wanting to go back, and even though it's not like my field of study, my field that I felt very close to, that I had worked in for years, I was very excited to go back into it, even if it was a slightly different role. And I mean, who knows, like in the future, potentially I could switch departments if I feel like I do still want to, but I so far am happy with what I've done in the lab. I'm gonna take light particle, which is like a very light yellow, and just put it on the inner part of my eye. What I was most excited for about this move, other than the job, that was like my main priority of course, but I have always wanted to live on my own, just like in a completely different place from, not that I don't like my family and friends, of course, but I've kind of just always wanted to be on my own. I never had the opportunity to do that. I've always been like close to family, or I've like had roommates, and I never like got the experience of like real true independence. So I was just so excited for this apartment that I have now. Yeah, I just wanted to experience being on my own for a bit, and so far I've been really liking it. Of course it comes with its challenges, like I'm having to get everything ready on my own, clean on my own. I mean, like the apartment, not to brag, but because, here I go on a tangent again, because I'm able to afford so much more than I was back in Southern California, I did get myself, you know, a little bit of a like more upper scale like luxury apartment, just because, you know, I do like spending time in my home. I'm very much a homebody, so I may as well have a nice home to go to. So, and it was all completely updated, and I'm the first person to live in here after being updated, so I didn't have to clean too much, but you know, still the cleaning, or like cleaning up after like the move-in, because it can get kind of messy, the like arranging stuff and unpacking, everything I've had to do on my own, of course. Now I'm gonna take this green shade and put it on my lower lash line. But other than the few challenges I've had, I've been really loving it here. Just like getting to be on my own and try things on my own and just like learn how to be completely on my own has been so nice for me. I'm trying not to block my face, but yeah, I'm just kind of, I feel like I'm living my 13 going on 30 dream, even though I'm not 30 yet. Yeah, it's just nice being independent. For like, I've always been more on the independent side, but actually being able to be on my own, like for real, has been so nice. The one thing though that has been really sad about being alone is another one of zero's questions is, am I taking my cats with me? Eventually, yes. Hopefully within the next few weeks they will be with me, but they're currently still back where I used to live. They're staying with my mom. Because I had such a short notice, I didn't really have time to think about how I was gonna get them there, like how I was gonna take care of them while I'm at work for so long, because where I work on site, we don't have reception, so I can't just like call someone really quick if I need something, or if there's like an emergency. There's just a lot to figure out as far as logistics. So they're not with me yet, and I miss them every single day. I've had them with me, like, other than when I've been on vacation, and they're not with me. I've had them with me every single day for the past over 4 years, like 4.5 years. So it's been very sad to not have them with me. It's a big change, and every day I wake up and the very first thing every single day that I think about is, oh, I need to let my cats in, or I need to get my cats breakfast, and then I realize they're not there. And for the first minute of every morning, I'm very sad, but I'm just hoping that it won't be much longer till they're with me. But I feel like that was pretty much everything, like the basics of, oh my god, I don't know what all that rumbling is, but that is so loud. That's kind of like the basics, I would say. Now let me wipe off the fallout from under my eyes, and then I'll be right back. I'm gonna try to use my Danessa Myricks eyeliner. This is a duochrome eyeliner in the shade Amethyst, which is a purple olive green duochrome, and I'm gonna use it on my lower lash line. This is my first time trying it out. I just put this in my graveyard project pan, so I guess we'll see how it works. But yeah, I think I thought I had a third question, but oh, this is really pretty, but I can't seem to find it. If I find it while I'm editing, I'll put it on the screen, or maybe it just doesn't exist and I'm going crazy. I am really loving my new apartment. Of course, like, it's not absolutely perfect, like literally nothing in the world is perfect, but first of all, it's so much nicer than anything that I would ever find in Southern California, and it's even cheaper, and I'm making more money than I used to, so like everything in that department is a plus. But you know what I'm most excited about, and I feel like this is so nerdy of me, but it's just the truth. I have in-unit washer and dryer. I love doing laundry. I don't know why, but if you ask like any of my family, and probably like my old college roommates, they will tell you I love doing laundry. I don't know why, I just do. I'm gonna line my upper lash line with my Urban Decay eyeliner pencil in Demolition, which is just like a super dark brown, but I've been having a lot of fun with that, and it's like a brand new washer and dryer unit, of course, so you know, there, except for one thing, which I've looked on the internet and I've just taken the best advice the internet has to give me. So if you know, please let me know. But sometimes, it hasn't happened in a while, but sometimes it just won't do the final spin that like dries out the clothes, so they'll come out sopping wet, so I have to put it on like a separate wash setting to like spin dry them. So that's like the only thing, but other than that, I've been having a great time doing my laundry. It's so nice to be able to do laundry at the middle of the night. This is like super boring and no one cares, I'm sure, but this is just like my favorite thing so far about my apartment. It's so nice to be able to do laundry in the middle of the night, not have to leave or not have to worry about the laundry room closing, because I am very much a night owl. I just like, for some reason, get all of my motivation after the sun sets. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like the cover of darkness. Finally, moving on to my face, and this is the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer. Prime on the go. It's just like the travel size version. I always use first a pore filling primer and then like a glowy primer on top of that. But I've really been loving my laundry room. I still haven't finished, by the way, unpacking everything. I did like a lot of stuff. Oh, like basically this is how my move went. So I wanted to get here like a few days before I had to start work, and I was like, okay, I'll just like try to book a flight and book my movers at the same time, because movers are actually quite hard to book. I've never booked them on my own, so I don't know if any of you have had this experience as well, but like I did not realize that you basically had to kind of already be packed before you move. Like I just thought, okay, this is how big my place is, give me whatever size truck is good for that. No, they're like They want to know like exactly what furniture you have, exactly how many boxes, how many wardrobe boxes, blah blah blah. Like you can't have anything in bags. They want only things in boxes, etc. Which I get, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who like totally underestimate how much stuff they have, because it is very easy to accumulate stuff and not realize it. I know I had more stuff than I thought, but I definitely did not I did not have more than like a standard 1-bedroom amount of stuff. Like I had so much extra space in my truck. But anyway, this is the e.l.f. Sun Touchable Roll Glow in the shade Sunbeam, so I'm just gonna put it on top of that primer. But they were like, no, I was like calling a bunch of different movers, and I was like really trying to get stuff done, because at this point I only had like a week before I needed to move. And they were like, okay, yeah, let's do a video chat right now so we can see your apartment. And I was like, huh? Like I was not ready for them to see my place that not only was a mess, because like it always gets worse before it gets better. Like I was just pulling stuff out of drawers like all haphazardly, and it honestly looked extremely crazy. So they weren't even gonna be able to get like a good idea of what I had anyway, because it just looked a mess. But I was like, you want me to be basically done packing before I can even schedule movers? And then like a lot of times they don't have availability like within the next week, or you have to pay a lot extra to get them the next week. So I was like, this system has some flaws. That was probably the most stressful. Actually, no, the most stressful part was getting the apartment. Like that was the very first thing. Immediately after signing my contract and sending my 2-week notice to my job, that was the first thing I did, of course, because I need a place to live. This is definitely just turning into a story time that probably no one asked for anyway. This is my e.l.f. color corrector. So yeah, I started looking at places. Like I asked my recruiter when I was like going over the final offer and everything, I was like, oh yeah, so like as far as moving, like basically I was like, give me some advice, what should I do? And he was like, oh yeah, if you don't want to get like sign a lease right away, you can move into like temporary housing. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, okay, but I was like, no way am I gonna do that. Like I'm not moving twice, and I'm not gonna have like all my stuff stored in a pod while I'm looking for an apartment. Because one, he didn't know this, which I don't blame him, because why would a guy know about some random girl's makeup addiction? But I was like, I'm not gonna have all my makeup sitting in like a hot, humid pod going bad on me while I'm looking for a place. So I was like, no, I need to like just move in right away. So I just need to get a place, even if it's sight unseen, like I can't see the unit, whatever. So I immediately started applying to, I was like, just give me the address of where I'll be going to work every day and I'll figure it out from there. Little did I know, by the way, everything in northern Nevada is no more than like 30 to 40 minutes away from literally everything else. So it's, I don't know, the towns here are just so much smaller than Southern California. So I didn't even need the exact location. But anyway, I'm gonna go in with my NARS light reflecting foundation. This is in the shade Barcelona. I'll probably have to, it's like very, very rainy here right now, but soon I'm sure I'll be getting a tan. So I'll probably have to start using a deeper foundation, because I shade matched to this when I was pretty much at my very lightest. But so I started looking on like Zillow, of course, it's my go-to. I love Zillow. Zillow, apartments.com. I was just looking for anything, and they're actually like within the area that I was looking at, which is like just the very, very closest thing to where I will be, because my job site is, we don't have cell reception because we're very far from like, not like any sign of life, but basically any city area. We're very far from it. So and the commute is very long no matter where you live. So I just wanted to find like the closest possible thing so that I didn't have a super long commute. Again, little did I know, no matter where you live, it's basically the same distance. But there were only like 3 places available in the time that I needed it. So I started with like calling my favorite or like my top choice. I scheduled a tour with them, like a virtual tour, like a video call. For the next day, they ghosted me, completely ghosted me. The stress that I felt was so immediate. I was like, no, like I thought I had it figured out. Like I was gonna, as long as it didn't look like trash, I was gonna move into this place and have at least that figured out. But they're not even getting back to me. Like they're not answering my phone calls, my texts, my emails. There's no way, like no other way for me to contact them. And I can't go over there because I'm in a completely different city. I'm gonna try not to block the camera again. But immediate stress after that happened, and it was really sad too, because at the time I had been in like out of town because I was taking care of my grandma, and my mom was with me too, but we were taking care of my grandma. And so I was like, oh yeah, at this time I have my like future apartment tour, do you want to watch? And it was kind of like, oh, they're not showing up. So it was very awkward on top of that. But I finally, after like a few hours, ended up getting a hold of them, and they were like, oh, we're so sorry, the person who was supposed to give me a tour, she had a family emergency, so she couldn't do it. And I was thinking, well, I can tell, I didn't say this, I was like, oh, okay. I was thinking, I definitely know you're lying, because like if there was actually an emergency, like someone at least would have seen, oh, there's someone on the calendar, we should let them know. Because it had been hours like after my appointment was supposed to be, and no one contacted me, no one answered my calls, anything. So I was like, no, they're definitely just slacking off in that office. This is my LYS Triple Fix Concealer that's in my 25 and 2025. It's in the shade TG1. So I was like, okay, well, let's reschedule. And they were like, yeah, let's reschedule. And I can't remember if we rescheduled for the next day or like the first thing next week. Literally the exact same thing happened again. I totally got blown off. They ghosted me, wouldn't answer. And so finally, it was like my very last straw. I was like, okay, I'm definitely not gonna live there anymore. Finally, I just gave them one last chance, because they called back and they were like, oh yeah, sorry, I can't even remember the excuse at this point because it was just so ludicrous. I was like, okay, whatever. But I wasn't gonna completely blow them off, because I was like, oh, just to have them as like a backup option. Even though they were my first choice, I was like, I can tell the management here is really, really bad. So I rescheduled for the third time, and would you believe it, for the third time they were not there. She just was not there. So I went onto their Yelp, and I was typing up like, they ghosted me 3 times, blah 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 blah, and I was ranting. And literally right before I clicked the submit button, she called me, and she was like, okay, yeah, I'm ready for the video chat. This was like 15 minutes late, by the way. She was like, I'm ready for the video chat. And I was like, oh, okay. So I paused the Yelp review. I'm getting into some very deep detail. This is my L'Oreal Color Riche. Yeah, Color Riche lipstick in the shade Le Wood Nonchalant. I use it just as a cream blush these days. And this is in my Problem Area project pan. So we did the video tour, and it was actually a really, really nice place. Yeah, it was like ticking all the boxes, and I was like, okay, well, even though this was like an SHIT show to finally actually see the apartment, it's like still as good as I hoped it would be. So I applied. But then there was also the second apartment that was like, you know, number 2 on my list that I had scheduled an appointment with. Well, the first place was blowing me off. And I was like, you know, even though I applied to this apartment and I would like to live, like that's my first choice, I'll still like kind of look at it just so I can see and compare and stuff. So I think it was the next day I did the video tour for that apartment, and it was also really nice. and it also had an extra bedroom and bathroom for not that much more than the first apartment. So I was like, and it was also like completely updated. So I was like, I've always, even though like I've never really lived above my means, I've never lived at my means. I pretty much have always kind of lived like crap, because Southern California, you really don't get much and you have to live in like pretty crappy conditions unless you make like 6 figures. So ever since I started panning, I've always wanted to have like an extra room, not only as a guest room for like hosting people, because before I never really got to host people. I'm just gonna add one more layer of that blush, but and I also wanted it to have like as my office slash beauty room slash like reading area. I just wanted an extra room to have like more stuff for myself, like other purposes. So the fact that it had an extra bedroom and like a guest bathroom was very intriguing to me. So I applied to that one. I was like, well, we'll just see what happens. It'll be like a backup, because I was pretty sure that I was gonna get the other apartment first, and I was like, I don't really want to delay things or like blow anyone, even though they blew me off. And I kind of just want to get an apartment as soon as possible, because I'm leaving and I don't want to leave this stuff up to chance when I'm flying over there in like a week. So I applied, I think like on a Friday, and then the weekend rolls around, so of course the offices are not open, and I'm just kind of like waiting for my like renter's background check to come back and everything. I'm gonna take my e.l.f. Franken powder, which is like my e.l.f. Franken powder number 2, and I mix this one with so it has like the original Franken powder, which has like 2 or 3 things in it, and then I put my Halo Glow loose powder from e.l.f. in this, and I actually love the combination that this made. It is so nice. It's like thinner and it's a little bit lighter, because this was way too dark for me before, but it does leave me looking a little bit, just a tiny bit glowy, so it's not like flat matte, and I love it for that. I've been using this every single day with or without liquid foundation, and I just love it. But yeah, I'm gonna powder everything. I'm gonna take the creases from under my eyes first, and then I'm gonna powder everything. So Monday comes around, still nothing from anyone, and I'm like, I have like a week until I need to be gone from this place. Like, I can't schedule my movers until I know where I'm gonna be living. So I was just very stressed, and I was still like working at this point, so there's like that to think about as well, and like my exit interview and blah blah blah. And then finally Tuesday after, so this was like maybe 4 or 5 days after I applied, the second apartment that I applied to actually got back to me and they accepted me. So that was like super exciting. I was like, that's amazing. I like the second apartment so much, and it was like an extra bedroom and bathroom for not that much more than the first apartment. The only thing that the first apartment had that was better than the second one is the on-site gym was a lot nicer in the first apartment. But other than that, I was like, yeah, that's the one that I want, and like they got back to me first, so like it's just a sign that I should go with that one. And then like a few hours later, the first apartment got back to me, and I was thinking, why did it take so long for them to get my application back to me when like I applied to theirs an entire day before, and it's like run by the same software, it's the same like property management. I'm sure it's just because like the property managers there are just not that great. But yeah, it was pretty much settled on the second apartment, which, spoiler alert, that's the one that this is. So yeah, I'm currently living in a 2-bedroom 2-bathroom, and I know it took like so long for me to get to that point in the story, but that was just like really stressing me out. So once I like signed the lease agreement and everything and did like my like final background check for the apartment, I got in and I had to book my movers, which was extremely stressful because also at this point I hadn't even booked my flight over it, because I was like, well, I don't know exactly when I'll be leaving. So I don't want to book my flight yet, but it's like getting really close to the actual day I have to leave. Flight prices kept increasing every single day. Now I'm gonna use my face palette from my Pan That Face palette portion of my Pan Those Palettes project. That's a lot. But I'm gonna start with the bronzer, and I just like tap in it. I don't need to explain this. Booking movers is extremely stressful. They're just scammers. There are some scammers. Let me tell you, okay, if you've never booked your own movers, here's how it works. Like 90% of the time. Which I did the other 10%, which was more expensive, but I just like, movers for the most part are scammers. So when you book people to move your stuff, what they do is they put all of your stuff, they load it on a truck, right? When you're doing, especially if you're doing like a long distance move and it's not just in the same little town, they will not just put your stuff in a truck and then move it to wherever you want. They will like sell your stuff to like the highest or like lowest bidder, because they are not actually using like their own trucks to do anything. They are finding people who are like truckers who are going in that area anyway, and they're like saran wrapping all your stuff and putting it onto their truck for them to drive your stuff over in that direction whenever they're going. So your stuff is probably not going to be on their truck, and it's probably not going to be them handling your stuff. And it's probably going to take quite a while, like about a week, to get to where you want them to go, no matter where it is, because it's not on your schedule, it's on the trucker schedule. I'm gonna take this contour powder. So I did not know this when I was first booking my movers, but they were quoting me, so like I was like, okay, I need to plan this very carefully, because I can't, like, once I start my job, I cannot leave to go like, you know, supervise the movers. So if they're like getting there late, or if they say they can't get there until this day and I'm at work, it's not going to work. And also like I'm going early so that I can have time to like move and unpack and everything. So these movers kept saying, oh yeah, it can take like about a week, but it's just not exactly sure when it's gonna get there, and you know, we can't track it or control it because blah blah blah. And it wasn't until someone we weren't going with, so they decided to be honest with us because we weren't going to go with them anyway. They were like, oh yeah, this is how the moving industry actually works. It's not on our own trucks, it's not our own people really like doing the driving and blah blah blah, and this is why it costs this much money. If they're saying this, they're scamming you. So it was already like enough of a headache and stressful enough. And then on top of that, these movers that I was going to go with, keyword going to, they were definitely some scammers. So I was trying to hire mover, like just, you know, the basic long distance movers where they do everything for you. They like disassemble any furniture that needs to be disassembled. They put it in the truck for you. They drive it there, and which I guess they don't actually drive it there themselves, but then they move it into your place and reassemble anything. I feel like in person I can see my blush, but on camera I definitely cannot see it, so I'm gonna add some more. This is my highlighter brush because I forgot to pack a blush brush, but I'm gonna use this blush here. And they were trying to get me to like put a 30% deposit. This is not even like, oh, we split it into 2 payments. No, the deposit, even more before they get there, they wanted a 30% deposit, and they wanted it through Zelle, not a check, not a card, not anything. They wanted it through Zelle, which if you didn't know, if someone tries to get you to Zelle them for a business payment, it's a scam. I shouldn't say it's always a scam, but it probably is, because Zelle is non-refundable. You cannot get your money back once you give it to someone. So I was like, and it was sounding very fishy to me. So I was like, I made up an excuse. I was like, oh, I don't have Zelle, let me just call you back really quickly so I can set it up, and then, you know, I'll do it. So in those few minutes, I looked up their, because I found them on like movers like matching website, I went on to Yelp. See, Yelp is the answer. I never go on Yelp, but I should. I went on their Yelp and they had absolute terrible reviews. They were like, yeah, once they got there, they didn't actually reassemble any of my furniture, so I was stuck with like a bunch of random parts everywhere, blah blah blah. They like weren't there on time, XYZ. So I was like, okay, no, not only are they like bad employees, they sound very sketchy, so I'm sure this is like 100% a scam. They're just gonna like take my money and run. So at this point, I literally only had like a week until I was flying out there, because at this point I did book my flight because it was getting very, very expensive. I'm actually going to use this highlighter in here, even though it's yellow. I do have some yellow going on in my eyes. So I was like, I need to, you know what, if this exists, I need to find movers who will literally just put my stuff on their truck and drive straight there. And I actually found, this was like the very first people on Yelp who showed up, and it ended up, even though it was more expensive, considering like week-long movers who don't even actually drive my stuff there themselves were nearly as expensive. It was very worth it. But they had like amazing reviews, and they were like, yeah, we do all the basic like moving stuff, disassembly, reassembly, we move everything for you, no extra fee for like living on a higher floor, because again I was on the second floor, and it all stays in our truck. And we do like, basically we would get there in 24 hours. We do like overnight driving, so we have like 2 different guys to take shifts, and you're guaranteed to have your stuff next day. So I was like, perfect. This is my Huda Beauty Easy Bake Spray. This is just the mini, but it's the only setting spray that I have, because I'm not gonna get into this. This is the only setting spray I have, so I've been using this every single day. I ate it a little bit. This is the Maybelline New York Lash Sensational mascara, and it's a black brown shade. It doesn't say on the tube, but it's black brown. And I'm gonna do this off camera because you know why. I don't like my mascara face. I swear my upstairs neighbors are always moving furniture. Like, I just always hear stuff being pushed around, especially like around midnight. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's like they're just like getting up from a chair and it's scraping the floor, but why would they have like a movable chair not in the kitchen area? Anyway, I'm gonna do my brows now, and this is the Maybelline Brow Fast Sculpt in the shade Espresso. This is the only brow product I've used since I've been here. This thing is a lifesaver. It looks good no matter the occasion. Like full face makeup, I'm gonna actually do it, but full face makeup, it looks perfectly filled in. Even like on lighter days when I'm barely wearing anything, you can make this look lighter, and it's just like, I don't know, I don't know why I ever buy something that's not this, because it's so good. And it has the best hold of anything. The only thing is it's very difficult to get out, so you have to use like a heavy duty waterproof makeup remover, but it's because the hold is so strong and I need a strong hold with my brows. Anyway, back to the story. So once I finally got those movers booked, which was only like 4 days before I was gonna leave, I felt better. But then I had to like finish packing. You know, I worked up until the Saturday before I was leaving, and my supervisor had the audacity to put me on the closing shift, so I didn't get out until like 9 p.m. So basically I only had like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and let me tell you, like I was working down to the wire, because even the day, like the night before they were coming, I was still like getting all of my stuff that I was gonna take with me on the plane, like my suitcase and stuff. I was still getting all of that ready, and like packing last minute fragile stuff that I had forgotten about, like stuff that was on my bookshelves, or stuff that like I had just completely glossed over. This is my e.l.f. Holy Strokes Microfine Brow Pen, and also the shade Espresso. I'm just gonna fill in a few tiny gaps, but yeah, I was like, see, this is like starting to leak a tiny bit, but randomly, like sometimes it leaks, sometimes it doesn't. Sorry, I was like looking for a tissue to wipe this on. If you can hear something squeaking under me, it's my pillow. My pillow is made out of like a rubber plastic material. It's a purple pillow. It's actually my favorite pillow I've ever used. Side note, this is the best pillow I have ever used in my entire life, and I've had it for years. I bought it when I bought the bed that I have now, like over 2 years ago, but I just never took it out of the box because I didn't have my bed for like a month after I bought it because it had to be delivered, so I didn't want to use the pillow, so I like put the pillow up in my closet, and then it just never came out of my closet until I was packing, and I realized, like, not only did I pack all of my pillows on accident, but I had nowhere to put this pillow because I had just like pulled it out of the top shelf of my closet. So I like packed it in my suitcase with me, and this has been the only pillow I've been using since then. Oh my god, it's such a good one. I can't remember exactly which one it is. I think it's the medium firmness, but it is so nice. Like, I never want to use another pillow now, and I'll definitely be getting another one if it's still made, which I hope it is. But yeah, I was basically working up until the movers got there. I pulled an all-nighter the night before, so like I didn't sleep from Tuesday night to Wednesday morning when they got there, because they got there right on time. They got there at 8 a.m. and I didn't even have an opportunity to sleep until 5 a.m. anyway, so I was like, there's no point. So yeah, I didn't sleep at all, and I was feeling, you know, even though all-nighters don't feel the greatest, I was feeling fine. I was like, I can get through the day. But then my allergies started acting up. I mean, it's normal, like there is a little bit of dust kick up when you're moving because, like, you know, in my case I was moving stuff that had, in some cases, like, you know, my purple pillow hadn't been touched. Sorry, I'm talking while I'm like wiping my lip mask off, but some things hadn't been touched in years, so those little things that just like hide, they get a little dusty. So there was a little bit of dust kick up, and my allergies were really irritating me because I have indoor and outdoor allergies. I'm allergic to dust and pollen. This is my Atomic Makeup Silky Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade Keepsake, which is actually, I grabbed the wrong shade. This one is Keepsake, and it's currently in my, it was my That's So 2000s project, now it's in my Graveyard project pan, which is the last video that I would have uploaded, so go check it out. But I ended up, like, right after they finished, they finished perfectly on time. Like, they were such good movers, A+. I actually need to give them a review because they were so good. But as soon as they finished and left, I had to leave for the airport. But oh my god, my allergies were bothering me so badly, like I couldn't even function. So I was gonna take some allergy medication, but wouldn't you know it, I already packed it. So I had some like emergency Benadryl in my first aid kit, and I was like, oh yeah, this will be fine. Like, if I get drowsy, I'll just sleep on the plane. Famous last words. So basically, this is how it actually went down. I took the Benadryl because I was already like tired from not only weeks of just like non-stop stress and movement and everything. Not only that, I had just pulled an all-nighter, so I was working on zero sleep. That Benadryl hit me after 5 minutes. I felt like I was gonna pass out in the lift that I took to the airport. I like to leave for the airport 2.5 hours earlier than when my plane is like due to take off, because, you know, boarding starts half an hour before the plane is supposed to actually leave, and you never know if there's gonna be like a bunch of traffic. You never know if there's gonna be like a big wait time at the airport. So it takes like about half an hour to get to the airport, and the entire time in the lift, I'm sure I looked out of my mind. I was fighting off sleep like I was fighting for my life. I just actually looked like I had taken some very hard drugs, and technically I guess I had. I'm just gonna add a tiny bit more of that highlighter into my inner corner. but I was really struggling. And then when I get to the airport, it's still 2 hours before I need to get on the plane, and I'm not doing well. I'm really struggling. And I get my boarding pass and everything through security to my gate in half an hour. So I still have like an entire hour before boarding even starts. But I cannot fall asleep because not only do I not want my stuff stolen, I don't want to miss the takeoff, and I hadn't eaten anything since like lunch the day before, so I'm extremely hungry. So I'm just walking around the airport like a freaking zombie, trying to keep myself up, but like I feel like the combination of the exhaustion and the not eating was making me feel nauseated. So on top of that, I really feel queasy, and I was just not having a good time. Guys, don't take a Benadryl before you go to the airport. I don't care if you think you're gonna sleep it off. You're gonna have a lot of time to wait before you get to sleep it off. But finally, there was sweet relief, and I didn't even get a chair to sit down in because the chairs are all taken, because everyone wants to take up 2 seats to sit their luggage in a seat next to them. And this couple was taking up an entire row of seats because this girl wanted to stretch out along all the seats and sleep that way. So that was great. But anyway, finally I got into the plane, and as soon as I sat down, I put my head down, and I like made it through. I was conscious throughout takeoff, but as soon as we were up in the clouds, I was out. But the flight ended up landing early. Like it only took about an hour to get there, which was like about 20 minutes earlier. So I only got to sleep for like not even an hour, but I felt so much better after that nap. Oh my god, I was just like feeling so terrible the entire time. Once I landed and I saw like the beautiful town that Northern Nevada is so beautiful, I just like have really been enjoying myself so far. But I will say, okay, I'm done with my makeup. This is the final look. But just really quick, one thing that's like kind of weird over here, I don't know if it's like a Nevada thing or if it's just my town. People here will brake, like hit the brakes in their car for no reason. Please, if anyone here knows anything about Nevada drivers, why is that? Because I technically don't have my Nevada license yet. I have my appointment in a few weeks, but they didn't say I needed to take a new like written test, so I'm assuming the rules here are the same as California. Why do people do that? Because it's happened every single day. Every time I've driven, people just hit the brakes. I don't know why they like to do that, but it's really weird, and I feel like there must be a reason because everyone does it. But anyway, that is kind of the story of my move and all about it. If you asked a question, sorry, my fingers are cracking now. It's time for me to go. If you asked a question and I didn't get around to it, I'm so sorry. Please let me know. I will definitely answer it in any future videos because I have all of my videos for the next month and a half planned, so I'll make sure to answer it. I'm sorry if I skipped them. I should have screenshot all the questions as I was getting them. But yeah, that's it for this video and this look. I really love it. I ended up not using one shade, which is called Moon Water. I don't know why. I thought, for some reason in my head, I thought it was warm tone. It's definitely cool tone. It's called Moon Water, so I don't know where the mix-up was, but I'll probably wear this to work tomorrow, maybe. Who knows? They can get a little special shade action. So yeah, I've been really enjoying the Space Chemistry palette. The mattes are a little bit tricky, but I absolutely love the shimmers in here. I'm so happy with them. And I really like this look. My hair again is a little frizzy because again it was raining today. I feel like I jinxed this entire town on Friday. I asked my coworkers, like, does it ever rain here? And they were like, no. And then like an hour or two later it started raining, and it has not stopped raining since then. So I might just be a little disheveled in my next few videos. We'll see. But that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your questions. I'll see you in my next video, and until then, I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.